He's frustrated. I don't blame him. When you hear Kevin Mather saying these things as well, he is publicly acknowledging that they're holding Jarred Kelenic back. But here's the problem. I believe that Kevin Mather is not involved in the baseball operations for this team. And I think that Jerry Dipoto, the general manager of the Seattle Mariners, has a point when he said at his press conference yesterday morning that he's not sure how the Mariners have managed Jarred Kelenic thus far is actually service time manipulation.
From the way we communicate with our players, we have talked about Jarred Kelenic in this light for some time. And I'm not sure how you could construe a service time manipulation with a 21-year-old player who's played 20 games above A ball and who has not yet achieved 800 plate appearances as a professional player. That would be an unprecedented run to the big leagues by a high school draftee. That hasn't happened in 3 decades.
He has, in 21 games, 92 plate appearances with Arkansas. Unfortunately for Kelenic, who I think would have been up with the Major League team last year, a pandemic happened and wiped out the entire minor league season and also forced baseball to play in just a 60-game regular season. I believe Jerry Dipoto. The Mariners might not be taking advantage of Jarred Kelenic's service time. They might want, because of past failures, to make sure that he is ready to go when they finally bring him up to the majors. But Kelenic has a strong case. And before we lay that case out, I don't think that Kevin Mather's comments necessarily affect the majority of Mariners players. And when you hear Marco Gonzalez saying that Kevin Mather's comments have no relevance, I think there's some credence to that. Here he is.
We view this as an isolated incident. His views are his own. And certainly the relevance that he has to this team and this group is, he's not close to us. He's not here throwing a ball. He's not here swinging a bat. So although some of his words were hurtful, personal, and, certainly to me, but, I think we're a lot stronger than that. It's going to take a lot more to break this group up.
It's more than just personal for Jarred Kelenic, though. Kelenic is the exception of all the players there, a lot of whom were insulted, but Kelenic is seeing that it's been essentially publicly acknowledged that they weren't bringing him up as quickly as he believes they should have. And look, I think Jerry Dipoto should continue with this process, but here is where things get tricky, because this process is a disservice to Jarred Kelenic. It's also a disservice to Mariners fans who, I imagine, you listening in your car right now, you're mad because the Mariners have a big black eye right now, and they look bad. This is an embarrassing moment. So you just got to wallow in it. And on top of that, you realize that you have this great young player, but you can't see him the first month of the season, the second month of the season maybe either, the third month of the season, whether it's due to service time or this guy just seasoning himself. Because, again, this is a guy who only has 92 plate appearances at Double-A. We're not talking about Triple-A, just Double-A. So, he's got a lot of experience that I think you could make a strong argument that he needs. Going back to Dipoto talked about how he apologized to the Mariners players before their first full squad workout. And he said of Mather's comments, it doesn't reflect the way the organization truly felt about their players. But per Kelenic in this piece by Bob Nightingale, and this is where things get a little unclear, when he was asked how it was received, Kelenic responded, "Strange. It was literally like someone farted in church." Pause for a second. How do people typically respond in that spot? I know me being, gross, would have chortled. That is the exact expression on everybody's face. Okay, so blank expressions? I'm not 100% sure about what Kelenic is talking about as far as these facial expressions go. But also, when I hear later on in this piece that Dipoto personally apologized to Kelenic for Mather's comments toward him, but per Kelenic and his camp, the conversation was brief, that leaves things in a pretty awkward situation. And the Mariners process, I think, with Jerry Dipoto and Scott Servais, even with the 20 years of history about what this organization has been, the baseball ops, I said yesterday, I think they deserve the benefit of the doubt. I think they deserve the time to see this process out. I do. I really do feel that way. This isn't me being like, oh, Paul, a company man. No, this is not that. I think what we've seen over the last year and a half is steady progress. But this might disrupt the progress with one player in particular, and that is Jarred Kelenic. And he's got a strong case here. If this were to be brought before a trial, even if Jerry Dipoto is 100% right in his intentions, when you combine Mather's comments with the fact that the 5 other outfielders, not named Mitch Haniger, other than Kyle Lewis on the Mariners roster last year, were Jose Marmoleos batting a gaudy 206, Phil Ervin at 205, Malik Smith batting 133, Braden Bishop batting 167, and Jake Fraley batting 154. Can you really make a strong argument that the Mariners aren't holding him back, regardless of how many games he plays in the minors? If this is a top 5 prospect in baseball, can you legitimately say that the Mariners wouldn't be better off putting Kelenic in over those 5? Because I don't think you can. I really don't. And I understand there's an argument for you want this guy to get seasoning. I get it. Believe me. You don't want to screw the prospect up. But this is no longer about the rational side of the argument. This is about how Jarred Kelenic's feeling. And when you combine it with the way that people that are watching this product every single night on Root Sports or listening to it right here on your flagship station for the Mariners, when they hear the output or watch the output by these outfielders and realize, oh, so we're just going to have to wait some more for some real positive changes on this Mariners team, some real hope, some real superstar power other than Kyle Lewis, I get it. And I think this is an unfortunate situation for the Mariners because I feel like this is the one exception where maybe they have to get out of their process and perhaps listen to the mob.